What it do, everybody? This is T Enigmas with Enigmas Unchained. We have a very, very special topic today, but before we get there, we have to introduce our brother. You know, this is, I've known him a long time, like 17, 18 years old. Very, very astute young man, you know, probably one of the best lingual, like grammar. What's the right word for that for a person that masters grammar?
Like a grammarian.
Grammarian. I had it right in my brain, but I don't know if that's a word or not. We have Jonathan McFadden.
Hey.
How you doing, brother?
Good. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is going to be a very fun topic, you know. But before we get there, go ahead and give them your particulars. Where can they find you? Tell them what you want to find.
Yeah, you can find me on the Instagram at John Inc. That's INK. You can also find me on my website, johnwrightsinc.com. So that's John, Jon, Wrights, Inc. INK.com. That's my content writing and brand journalism business website. So hit me up. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn. John Wrights is on Facebook. Please don't stalk me. I'm not into that. So, all right. There are a lot of creepy people out there. So, I will deny you in a heartbeat. I will reject your friend request quickly. Don't drop in my DMs. People have done that before. Don't do that. I'm not kosher. I don't appreciate it. So.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, we crazy over here. I don't appreciate nobody messing with my people. Just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. If I find you, just fill in the rest and just think Liam Neeson. Fill in the rest. All right. So yeah, but we're gonna talk about this episode is called An Ode to Karen.
Yes, Karen.
We're gonna deal with some fairy tales on how she is protected in fairy tales. This thought came to mind. You know, we were I was sitting with my son and we were watching was it a Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I was like watching it and I'm sitting there looking at my wife. I'm like, yo, this thing hit differently today. What in the world is going on right now? You know, I'm like, okay, that's something. No, that's not right. You know, so I posted something on Facebook. John was like, yeah, this is all wrong. You know, so, you know, and after that, I was like, would you mind? And he's like, oh, man, let's do it. I'm like, great. So, yeah, but before we get to that, we have to go through the Enigma of the Day. And the Enigma of the Day is something that people have already heard. And if you haven't, this will be a very, very interesting refresher for people. It's called the vocal fry. The vocal fry it's not new. It's actually about 30 years old. Honestly, when you think about the lingo, because that was like Clueless in the 90s, where girls have this, it's mostly in white women. And just to
for sure.
Let's say like you have it in a few black women. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. I actually heard Asian women use it as well. I've seen them mostly if they're particularly been in the culture of white females. There's this thing where they do that's actually what they call a vocal fry, where they, instead of them just saying, how are you doing? It's how are you doing? You know, like it's a weird thing that they do with their voice. And the enigma is why? like why? What? Why? I mean,
it's acceptable too. It hits my ears, and I'm just like, oh, it's like it's like nails on a chalkboard sometimes. Like,
yes.
I hear it in some, mad respect, but I hear it in some coworkers and colleagues at work, and I'm like, oh gosh, just speak.
Yeah.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you? Better if you would just speak coherently. Maybe it's a way to appear more disarming in a way, so that they come off a little friendlier.
That is fair.
Because fair, yeah. White patriarchy is very fragile, and so Karen has to be careful.
Yeah. So I mean, like, and you know, it's an interesting point you bring up because I was listening to a pathologist, you know, talk about it, and she was saying that it is actually an acceptance code that it does allow women that speak like that to actually kind of like not code switch. You know how we talk about code switching with Black people, how pretty much the situation is that like you're in a business setting, you have to change it back to proper speech. You gotta, like for me, I gotta drop, you know what I'm saying? You know, so even though I know that people know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying? You know, I can, or you know, things like that. I can't do that in a business setting, you know, or you have situations like for women, some women really, really dial down any bass they have in their voice at all. I've seen it happen, or they tune it all the way up. Depends on which area they're in. So I heard one lady, man, I remember it was that in Vegas? It was in Vegas, and she had like a voice like this, and I was like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? She commanded the room, and she got like 2 or 3 drinks in the jar. 2 or 3 drinks, and she was like, "That's right, this is high pitch." And I was like, "So you put on? Look at that." But I think that thing, you know, like it's interesting to me because like the vocal fry kind of registers in that same thing. I think it's more of in a weird way, it's like an acceptance survival mechanism.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it's something that for us, you know, we're like, why in the world you know, like we already, it don't matter. We do vocal fry, code switch. It don't matter. It's like, well, you know, that dude got Black skin, so it's a little bit different. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's a different situation depending on how they actually are accepted into a crew of people.
For sure. And like
you know, so
I think it's a matter of survival. It's trying to essentially assimilate so you can get by without any harassment and get by without too many repercussions. You know, even at work, for me, I find myself modulating my voice to make sure I sound a little higher, like my pitch is a little higher, just because when I'm just speaking around people I'm comfortable with or just in regular conversation, I have a lot of bass in my voice.
Oh, facts.
Yeah. And my voice carries, so it comes off sometimes harshly. And so when I'm at work, though, I'm like, "Hey, everybody, how are you? Yeah, that's great. But really, I talk like this, you know? And you just naturally learn how to modulate. And sometimes I don't want to do it. I don't even think about doing it. It's inside of us, because you know. Yeah. So, God willing, if I can, especially these coronial times. So, it's just, I think the unfortunate truth about living in this country, especially, is that we all feel some kind of need and urge to change our voice and modify so that we can appear less threatening to those who have more access and have more worldly power.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, it's funny. It's interesting that you bring that up too, because like the one of the things I remember hearing when I was younger, at least, and I remember girls that were coming in to get jobs and stuff, like just regular jobs. They were unhireable with their voice because they were like, we're not gonna hire a girl because like she doesn't sound confident. Like, and it's funny that I think that's what the pathologist was getting at as well. Was that like even if when they use this, it is to seem less threatening, but it also exudes like like you don't have any confidence in yourself. And I was like, that's very interesting. You know, it's almost to seem like you're docile when you're coming into a crew, you know, people. And like I've seen guys kind of try and do it. I got one guy that I know where he like talks like this, you know, talks like this, you know, like every sentence ends with a like this, like he always goes high. He'll start out low and then he'll end high every single time. It seems very disarming, I guess, but to me, I'm like, I'm on to you, you know. So I'm like, nah, this is screaming at me, like versus it doing the opposite thing. But for a good bit of people, that actually says this person's actually quite harmless. I'm like, this sucker got knives in his hands. I mean, what are you talking about?
Well, they're coming at him like Mr. Rogers. Like, unassuming. Those are the people you really gotta watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sitting, I'm like, no, this guy has knives. No, he doesn't. Look at how kind he is. Yeah, I'm very kind. You know, I'm like, mm-hmm.
You don't sound sure.
Yeah. Like, you don't sound sure.
Right now.
Like, you lack confidence in your kindness for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so I mean, but I was just like, I'm leaving it out to the people, you know, like we had a few emails last week from because we did 2 Enigma of the day, so I do appreciate everybody responding. But once again, if you do have any anything you want to add to this conversation, tnigma@enigmasunchained.com. Send me your answer to the vocal fry. Like, do you believe that it's disarming or is it just annoying? I believe it's just annoying.
Personally, don't let me influence your decision, though.
Yeah, we're not trying to influence your decision. We're just saying it's annoying.
We're not trying to influence you how to vote, but we're telling you what's the truth.
It's vote or die.
I mean, you have an opinion, but it can be wrong. So
exactly. It more than likely is if you don't believe that it's annoying. But that's an entirely different part. So now let's get into the meat. So like I was saying before, I was watching Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You know, and the systematic issue of Goldilocks and the Three Bears baffled me. And I was like, this is something that we dang near had to recite verbatim as children.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this was like no gender, no race accepted. I mean, no gender or race is excluded from this. You had to know Goldilocks and Three Bears. If I go into a crowd of people and I say, yo, what's the theme or the story of Goldilocks and Three Bears? People remember white girl with blonde hair breaks into a house. They won't say it like this, but white girl with blonde hair goes into the house of three bears. She tastes all their porridge and eats the one that she likes. She breaks 2 chairs and sits in the one she likes. She breaks 2 beds and sleeps in the one that she likes. And the bears came home and she got to leave.
Right, sleeping in everybody's bed. You know, I mean,
you know, so I mean, I sat back and thought about that, and I was looking at my wife, and my wife was looking at me, and I was like, why in the world is this? I said, I never thought about this. There's some systematic racism built into this freaking thing. I said, this is weird, but let's just be real about the situation. All right, so this white girl, blonde hair girl, blue eyes. All right. We're gonna call her Karen. Because we're gonna this is why it's called the older Karen. We're gonna replace every single female in these stores with a Karen, just so that way you would get it in urban context. Okay. So Karen goes into a 3 black people, a family of black people. Okay. Three black bears. We're just going 3 brown bears. They black, brown, it don't matter. All right, so she goes into the house that they own, that they done built on their own merit. She walks in, she tastes their food and says their food is bad until she gets to the one she likes. Like, this one right here is lit. And she eats that one, right? Now she doesn't leave.
No.
No, like I was thinking, well, maybe she was, famished from the journey.
She was impoverished.
Yeah, maybe she was famished. She's like, you know what? I got the food. My bad, peoples, but I was hungry. I'm about to leave. No, not this heifer. No. This heifer proceeds to say, you know what? They got some dope chairs in here. Let me sit in the chair.
Let me sit myself down.
Yeah. Sits in one chair, breaks. And instead of her leaving the house again, I just have to keep adding this in there. Instead of her leaving the house, she says to herself, ingenious, this chair broke. It's a bad chair. Let me try this other chair. So she jumps into the other. It breaks. Now, she didn't leave the house. Once again, I'm like, okay, maybe she knows something we don't. And no, she's like, this chair is trash too. Let me try this last chair. And then, this chair is just right?
Yeah.
Settles into the chair. And she's like, you know what, man? After all these, it's tearing up somebody else's house.
Right, destroying their property. Didn't take out the Gorilla Glue at all.
None.
Even try.
So after she's done this, she then proceeds. She didn't leave the house, by the way. She then proceeds to check out some beds. 3 beds in the house. She lays in one bed. This bed ain't right, man. Lays in the other. This ain't right, man. She lays in, this is just right. And she like literally gets like, the itis. She gets the itis from food she didn't even buy. She done ate somebody else's food, got itis, scratched her tummy, and went to sleep in somebody else's bed. Right. The bears come back home, and this is where. Yes. Right. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yo, the bear's gonna gobble this heifer up. You know what I'm saying? They just.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Now, I mean, I mean, right now, while I'm thinking about, I'm like, let me look at the original ending real quick, just to be 100% sure, because I can never remember the ending. You know what I'm saying? Like I know it's crazy, but I always remember like the bears being angry or something like that. But I'm like, what happened? All right, so the end of the tale is reached when the bears return. Wee Bear finds this empty bowl. Because it's crazy, because the baby bear stuff that got tore up. I mean, they got used. So the Wee Bear finds his empty bowl, his broken chair, and a woman sleeping in his bed and cries, somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is. The old woman wakes, jumps out the window, and is never seen again. So this heifer got away. Karen got away.
Karen always gets away. That's the thing. Karen always finds an escape route.
Yo, this is the best Karen story ever written. Okay, like if you need a yeah.
This is their mantra. This is like the holy. It's like their scriptures. This is the scripture, because this is what it tells them. It says you have every right to violate someone else's property, their privacy, and their person, and it's okay. And if anybody tries to come at you, just jump out the window.
Pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but we were looking at this, you know, just and what's real crazy, bro. This is what really got me, right? So in the stories that we got when we were children, Goldilocks was a little girl, right?
Right.
She's now a little girl in the original.
She's a geriatric?
She is a middle-aged woman.
Middle-aged white woman. Karen.
Bruh, I saw this joint. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was like, there is no way it could have lined up this perfectly. Like literally, so the original line that Wee Bear said, I had to just make sure that I saw it right. Wee Bear's original line, he says, I'm trying to remember if I can. Yeah, so somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is, right? And this is the old woman cries. Well, wakes in my bed. The old woman wakes, jumps out of the window, and is never seen again. It's old woman. It wasn't so what ended up happening in our own society, they beautified Goldilocks into a little girl with blonde hair.
Right. Making her innocent.
Yes. Right. So I was like, okay. Now originally the story wasn't even called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. See, this is a full-on deconstruction because I want people to hear this and be like, God dang, my childhood was a lie. So so there wasn't even a female with Goldilocks.
She was just a decrepit old Karen.
She was old Karen.
I'll tell you.
The original name of the story is actually just called The Story of the Three Bears.
So they found a way
to add a Karen to it, so it would be about Karen.
Yeah. So they took the story of the Three Bears.
To go with the Three Bears, like it's Goldilocks.
Right.
No, she David Ruffin, and she David Ruffin. No, I'm David Ruffin, and these are the Temptations. That's what happened. You know, so I was like, yo, this is madness to me. I was like, all right, you know, yeah.
Because it was written by white people in the first place. So that's a new level.
I mean, this is a United Kingdom story. You know, so this is from the UK. It's British. All right. Wow. Written around the 1800s, so the 19th century. You know what I'm saying? Like 19th century. Early. Yeah. So we got this going. So I was like, it's interesting. You know, we changed it into Goldilocks and the Three Bears. But it was actually Karen and the Three Bears. It was actually Karen.
It was just Karen. And but that goes to show you that's how revisionist history works, even though it's a fiction, but that's what happens. So as time goes on, we find ways to really kind of, I don't want to say marginalize, but we find ways to make the story more palatable for more people. So we take out the ugliness of it, because that's what happens. You have this woman, this middle-aged woman, becoming basically this cherub of a little girl, right? She becomes angelic in a way so that people believe, oh, she's in the right. Like, she's just an innocent little girl. It's cute, it's endearing, but no, it's sending a message. And the message is she can get away with what she wants. Like, this is what we do. We come in, we take what we want, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So that's the real message behind the story. Now, am I saying that was the intent of the original author? I don't know. I can't say that. But that's what fairy tales were. They were a reflection of what was happening in the time. That's what. Yeah. So, you know, and especially if this was originally penned in 1800s Great Britain, well, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
They were expanding the empire like gangbusters. So controlling everything, taking up everybody's land. So yeah, no wonder. Of course they would have an old woman going in and taking stuff. Of course. Now, had the bears attacked her,
oh, bruh,
I would have come and killed them.
The bears would have died a merciless death.
Right.
Merciless death. And they would have been at fault for no reason. They're like, well, we came home.
And put on trial.
Trial?
What am I saying?
Trial? Dude, please. Dude, so I mean, like, I looked at this joint and I was like, okay, he has to have a reason why he changed it to Goldilocks, right? So upon further investigation, he said, and I quote, the story of the three bears is a very old nursery tale, but it was never so well told. Well, this is like somebody else explaining why Southey, I think is his name, the great poet Southey, whose version I have with permission giving you, only I have made the intruder a little girl instead of an old woman. This I did because I found that that the tale is better known with silver hair. And because there are so many other stories of old women. So the guy said that he changed it into a younger girl because so many other stories were written about older women.
Okay.
Okay. Once the little girl entered the tale, she remained, suggesting children prefer an attractive child in the story rather than an ugly old woman.
Okay.
So like this is tale one we're deconstructing right here, people. So I want you to like really process this. All right. The first tale is an old woman who bars into the house of somebody else, three bears, right? Literally broke 2/3 of the whole furniture, right? Tore everything up, destroyed it, right? Ate their food that they set out, right? And then slept in their bed.
Slept in my bed.
And then when she got caught, instead of like fessing up, she didn't even apologize. He jumped out the window.
The window was never seen again. Like, what kind of ending is that? Like, what's the moral? Really? With fables and fairy tales, they always want to tell children some kind of show, like give some kind of lesson or moral of the story. What's the moral? There's no moral of that story.
Yeah. There isn't a moral. I mean, it's funny too because somebody tried too, bro. I mean, I'm doing this out of just almost out of spite because you know I'm looking at writing stories of my own. So I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, they want a doggone story to learn from this thing like that. So people will try. They use literary elements like the rule of three. Look, we get that through the rule of three. That pretty much what that means is that they actually had a repetition of threes, where there was three bears, three bowls of porridge, 3 chairs, and 3 beds. Right? Who cares? You're telling the kid to count to 3 while somebody's robbing their house. Wow, you've done civilization such a credit. You know, just oh my goodness, yo. I mean, like, so that's what I'm saying, like, and you know what's crazy? Goldilocks got so famous. This is gonna really, really make you laugh, yo. Goldilocks got so famous, yo. She's used in planetary astronomy.
What? Really?
Homie, I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying to you, yo. I'm not lying to you.
Use how?
Yo, get this. There's something called the Goldilocks principle.
Oh, like the Earth is in a Goldilocks state. Yeah, you're right. You're
Right?
because Goldilocks is angelic and considered perfect. Yes, you're right. Absolutely
Dude.
right.
Yeah, I mean, most people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there is actually something called the Goldilocks principle, where there's a Goldilocks zone where it's just right, too hot, too cold.
Right.
We're in the Goldilocks zone where we're just right.
Yeah. Goldilocks.
So you have to think, you have to let that process. There's an astronaut. There's an astronaut, and there's probably like a doggone astrophysicist at this time that was like, you know what? I remember that tale I read when I was a kid about Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
She was pretty darn perfect.
She was all right, you know. So let's name this after her trifling self. So
Right.
now we're in a habitable zone by a trifling heifer. Like, look at that.
By a Karen, a trifling Karen.
By a trifling Karen. So look at that. So if you want to look no further than one story and its effect on the entirety of the 20th and the 21st century so far, Goldilocks and the doggone Three Bears has actually named us a habitable zone by calling us just right.
Dang.
And it was originally by Karen. It was an old woman who tore up everybody's house and then left and was never seen again. 9 times out of 10, she repeated this offense.
Of course she did.
No, she repeated this offense. I don't care anybody says she did this again.
Why wouldn't she?
Facts.
Why wouldn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, there were no consequences.
None. You know, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know what? It's like right after I put that post up on Facebook, I was like, let me just dive. I'm gonna do a quick dive, you know, just see what's going on. And I saw this, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Every single part. I was like, this is gonna be perfect. This is gonna be perfect because most of the time we don't think about that. We just think about, you know, fastfulness of the story or something like that. But you know, when you start slowing down, and especially during the quarantine, you know, you just like start slowing stuff down. You're like, hold up, this one's getting stricken from the record.
Right. And when you think about fairy tales, especially that have endured for ages and have evolved and morphed into, you know, more harmless forms.
Exactly.
A lot of stories that we see in Disney movies, for instance.
Oh, bro.
I mean, their origins are pretty dark.
Yes.
They're grisly.
Yes.
You know, Cinderella, for instance, and Rapunzel and Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty is trifling.
Right. Those weren't docile, happy stories. I mean, they ended sort of okay.
Disney. Okay.
Right. But the originals, like even the original ending to Rapunzel, she gets cast out into a desert wasteland, ends up pregnant with twins.
Or
me. We don't know what happened to Rapunzel.
All right, so let's attack Rapunzel next. Okay, let's go there next. Okay, I'll do the synopsis and then you go ahead and jump in and do your thing. Okay, so I'm gonna read this for the people so they know. All right, so a lonely couple who long for a child live next to a walled garden belonging to a sorceress. The wife experiencing the cravings associated with pregnancy noticed some Rapunzel, a salad green, growing in the nearby garden and longed for it. She refused to eat anything else. So pretty much she did that. The husband, she kept eating that and then wasting away. Her husband's fear for her life. And one night he breaks into the garden to get some for her. When he returns, she makes a salad out of it and eats it, but she longs for more. So her husband returns to the garden and retrieves more. So this keeps happening over and over and over again in the story. As he scales the wall to return home, the sorceress catches him and accuses him of theft. And this is where, you know, we get the whole situation where he begs for mercy and he wanted all Rapunzel he could get. You know, and the witch was like, I'll give you a Rapunzel that you want, which is actually the weed. He agrees. When his wife bears a baby girl, the sorceress takes her to raise her as her own and names her Rapunzel after the weed that kept growing. So she grows this beautiful, long golden hair again.
Gold. Like,
Yep. So, beautiful gold hair. When she turns 12, the sorceress locks her up inside a tower in the middle of the woods with neither stairs nor a door, and only one room and one window in order to visit Rapunzel. And of course, we get the adage, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair that I may climb that golden stair or something like that. The one day a prince. It's always this dude just pop out the side for some reason. Where these suckers come from? One day a prince rides through the forest and hears Rapunzel singing from a tower, entranced by her ethereal voice. Right? He searches for her and discovers the tower, but is unable to enter it. He returns often listening to her beautiful singing, and one day he sees the sorceress visit and learns how to gain access. So this sucker was stalking Rapunzel.
Basically, yeah. Gaining access.
Access, right? This is something he's not. So we're going to go ahead and stop right here just for a moment. Okay. So, Jonathan, in this situation, if you was a daddy and you seen some cat like literally creeping around your house looking for your codes to get in the house,
right?
What would your immediate reaction be?
My immediate reaction would be to, let me think. My immediate reaction would be to take care of business and make sure that young man does not trespass on my property ever again. And
right.
With a strongly worded threat.
Okay, good. So we have established grounds on this dude pretty much becoming a stalker. Now, what's even worse, though, is that there's a double offense because this kid's already been kidnapped.
Right.
By Karen.
And here's the thing. His wife was also a Karen, if you ask.
Yes, she was.
Because she wanted that root, that flower, which it's a plant.
Yeah.
So badly. And she begged so much that she began to waste away because she couldn't get what she wanted. And because all of the men in these Brothers Grimm fairy tales are so weak-willed,
yeah, it is,
and spineless, he's like, okay, dear, I'll do whatever you want. Okay, I'll go. I'll deal with the witch. I'll do whatever you want. And so then he basically stands by and allows his daughter to get kidnapped by a witch for years.
I mean, like on the real, on the track, he got his wife what she wanted and willingly gave his daughter up to keep his wife.
Yep.
Karen.
They're all
right.
Karen.
All Karens.
All Karens.
Okay.
But also, I think one of the other things about that, if I'm remembering the story correctly, and if I'm getting the geography correctly, the garden where the plant was essentially an adjacent property to the man and his wife's home.
Yes.
It makes me think the tower where Rapunzel was kept was probably also really close by. Me. You let this old hag take your daughter, put her in a tower for years, right within a stone's throw of your window, and you're okay with that. You know what this reminds me of?
What reminds you of?
Documentary, I can't remember what it was called, that came out last year or maybe 2 years ago, about the girl who was kidnapped by her neighbor.
Oh, bro, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her Mormon parents were like, okay, because they both had sexual relations with the neighbor anyway.
Yes.
That's what it reminds me of. That's what this puts me in mind of. Because I'm not a parent. I know good and well, you ain't taking my kid nowhere. What you mean?
Facts. It's like especially your neighbor. Like, I seen your house.
I know where you are.
Like you can't hide this kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but just like the parents in that documentary, Rapunzel's parents just say, okay, see you later. Bye. Such a good witch you are. And they just let their daughter languish here in this tower for years until her hair grows unkempt. I know the story says it was beautiful. No. Rapunzel was in desperate need of a relaxer, but she did not have access.
These are all facts.
A trim. And so she couldn't make it to the salon. And so she just had wild, kinky hair just growing all over the place to the point that it was jagged enough for somebody to climb it. That's the truth about Rapunzel. She was neglected.
She was fully neglected by a Karen. Two Karens
in her life. She had a lot of Karens in her life.
Yeah, she had two Karens in her life. You know what I'm saying? Her mom's was a Karen because she like literally, I won't eat anything else unless I have this weed here.
Man.
I'm like, this ain't like, this is not 420. You know? like, yo, you need to eat some doggone meat and get over this. Right. No, I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat this salad green called Rapunzel. I need it all. Like, okay, you know, then like pretty much she loses her daughter to a sorceress Karen. You know what I'm saying? So sorceress Karen, but that's how we're gonna distinguish it. So sorceress Karen takes the daughter and pretty much like, yo, Rapunzel, let down that hair. You know what I'm saying? So she throws the hair down. You know, and then this prince, you know, stalker one, you know, is stalking her in the back. And like pretty much uses that and is like, and he bids her to let down her hair, right? When she does so, he climbs up and they fall in love. What?
As Karens are likely to do. Very Rapunzel was so neglected. The first sign of attention from anyone, she was like, "Oh, please take me away. Just get me out. Get me out. Just get me out." But here's another question of mine: why did the witch need to climb Rapunzel's hair? That was her. That was her tower. You don't have a key?
Bruh. It's called abuse.
Right.
She like, I own you, heifer. Let down your hair.
Right.
What's going on?
Ownership, possession. Yeah. Karen.
So have you ever seen Tangled?
You know, I have not actually seen Tangled.
Yo, so I'm gonna go on record and saying Tangled is actually low key fire. I'm gonna be real with you. It actually ain't bad. All right. So, and Tangled for anybody that hasn't seen Tangled, skip ahead by 3 minutes. So in Tangled, it's the Rapunzel story, right? And they actually made it a lot more endearing. I mean, they made it like super endearing. I was like, yo, this is mastercraft on like turning a literally desperate, terrible story. Like they took piss and made it in lemonade. It was amazing. I was like, dang, yo, that's amazing. I was like, knowing the premise of this story and how you made this thing end. But in their story, the Karen sorceress was actually, from what I understand, like Rapunzel's hair was actually magic in the story. So as long as she sang, Rapunzel's hair actually kind of had this eternal life thing kind of tied to it. So while she was brushing her hair, the old hag Karen chick could actually turn young again. Now, if they had added that in this story would have made at least 5% more sense. At least 5. No more than that. But because the rest of it gets worse, people. It gets worse. So when the sorceress leaves, let me see. Oh, yeah, I forgot. They said they fell in love. Okay. So he eventually asked her to marry him, which she agreed to. Okay, like this is after they fell in love, and he came up there and we won't talk about it. We were gonna call it he King David. That's
what happened. Yeah. It has all that kind of vibe.
Yeah, it has that
predatory vibe all over it, right? Together they plan a means of escape wherein he will come each night, thus avoiding the sorceress who visited her by day, and bring Rapunzel. So, okay, pause. Well, pause. This cat intentionally came by night in Black culture. In Black culture, there's a word for guys like this. We won't say it on the air. That
that get so deep into some quote unquote innocent girl's mind where they just get access to, like, they know exactly when the parents ain't home.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this dude was doing. He was like, I'll just get in there when I just wait for the sorceress to not be
in. Yeah, you know.
Sliding in there, you know, just get in and get out, Netflix and chill it. You know, like just go in there and do his thing and leave. You know what I'm saying? Every night?
Every night.
Mm. Every night, right?
Mm.
Okay. So let me see where we at. Every night. And bring Rapunzel a piece of silk. So he trying to give her something, you know, to appease.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, see, that she gradually weave into a ladder. Okay. So he's giving her a piece of silk to make into a rope to climb down. Before the plan can come to fruition, however, she foolishly gives him away.
Foolishly
gives him away, right? She innocently says that her dress is growing tighter around her waist, hinting at pregnancy. That's the original. Now, in the revised version, in a later edition, she adds Dame Gothel, who is the name of the lady, the Karen. In a moment of forgetfulness, why is it easier for her to draw up the prince than her?
That's the version I read. Yes.
Now that's funny because the original version actually hinted at pregnancy.
She was expecting.
That's what I'm saying. This dude.
My God, what are they teaching the children? What are they?
This prince, the stalker.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Found easy prey just laying in the towel. He said, "You know what? You know that picture of that dude with that yellow suit on, and him rubbing his hands together."
Yeah. Was what the prince was. Absolutely.
The prince was that. You know what I'm saying? The dude just sitting there rubbing his hands behind the tree like, yeah, that's right, sorceress. Go ahead and leave the house so I can get mine in.
Right. Poor Rapunzel. Lord.
So, all right. So in anger, and both of them end the same way. So one of them has Rapunzel pregnant. The other one has Dame Gothel, who was the name that they gave to the Karen sorceress. But one said Karen sorceress was too heavy, which is already an insult to women. You know what I'm saying? So in the other one was Rapunzel saying that this dress was getting too tight, which is also an insult to women. So it's like, okay. So both of them end in sorceress Karen getting upset and cutting off Rapunzel's hair and casting her out into the wilderness to fend for herself. And then that's when we get the twist where the prince, you know, prowling at night. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, you know, hey, Rapunzel, yo, let down the hair, girl. You know what I'm saying? He like, yo, let down the hair, girl. G-U-R-L, let down the hair, girl. So she let down the hair, you know, and he get up there and realizes that Rapunzel ain't up there. And I think he leaped from the tower and fell on a thorn bush. And it only took out his eyes. Pause.
So, one, how did you fall? Wait. So you fell face first?
So here's a question. So in the edition that you read, did you read the one that I sent you? So what's crazy, I found out maybe 2 days ago, and my bad, those were actually updated editions. In the original one, he leapt.
So he just jumped out the window. And ended up blind.
And that's it. He ended up.
So no thorns at all. Nothing blinded him per se. Instead of his legs, he ends up blind. That's it. Nothing else on him is broken but his eyes. Interesting.
I don't know how that works. I mean, this tower has got to be long enough for her to like drop down her hair.
Right.
So he jumps out this thing like a full force of a man. Now, I mean, that means the man had to get a running start.
Right.
And he leapt out the window.
And ends up blind.
That's it. He just ends up blind. Not lame. Which would make more sense in this situation.
In any way. broken
legs makes more sense here.
Yeah, it would. I mean, my legs would be broken after that.
Any regular man's legs would have been broken, not his eyes. I mean, I don't know. Good job, Brothers Grimm.
I mean, I guess, with fairy tales, they don't have to be logical. I just have a problem with like connection. That's my issue. Like, how does one end up blind after jumping out of a tower?
No, it's crazy. So then they say the thorn bush broke his fall. Pause. How? The thorn bush breaks his fall and saves his life, but scratches his eyes, and that's how he lost his. I'm like, that's it.
Takes his eyes. The thorn broke his fall.
That's it.
At least he has no cuts, no scrapes, no bruises.
None of that is mentioned. It's just his eyes.
So did he propel her out of the tower like the man in Titanic? His wife on his face? I don't understand.
I mean, look. I mean, when you read this slowly, it bothers you. I mean, like it really. You're like this is a if this story came out in the 21st century, the person would be ridiculed today.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Because this makes no sense. It's like a homie.
Published, it would never see the light of day.
This is those like parody movies, like a dude jumping out of a window,
right?
And the only thing that's hurt on him is his eyes. I mean, I can imagine a person explaining their story to somebody. I had to jump out the window. Like, why are your legs and stuff not broken? Oh, I lost my eyes. Okay.
Oh. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Your eyes would be the first thing to go.
Right. First the eyes.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Now this is a prince. Now I have to make sure I put this back in. So we're unpausing. So this is a prince now. 4 years he wanders through the wastelands of the country and eventually comes to the wilderness where Rapunzel now lives with twins, to whom she has given birth, a boy and a girl. One day, as she sings, he hears her voice again, and they are reunited. When they fall into each other's arm, her tears immediately restore his sight.
Okay.
Conveniently.
Okay.
He leads her and her twins into his kingdom. Now, okay, pause.
How are you going to abandon your kingdom for years looking for this woman and still go back? Power, elitism, privilege, access. I tell you, it must be nice. It's just such a foreign experience. I don't understand. Like, I walked off my job for a couple of weeks without telling anybody. Guarantee you, I won't have a job.
Oh yeah, you might be in jail. They're like this dude taking company secrets.
Proprietary information. For Facebook, but no, he gets to leave for years. And then how do we just ignore the fact that he was possibly an absentee father? Let's be real.
All is forgiven when you got money.
I tell you, we get happy real quick. Forgiveness is easy.
Here's my question though. How was the kingdom even allowed to stand without a king?
Maybe the king was still there.
They said that for years. Now, because I'm gonna read this whole thing again. Okay, 4 years he wandered through For years he wandered through the wastelands of the country and eventually comes to the wilderness where Rapunzel now lives with the twins, to whom she has given birth, a boy and a girl. One day, this means he's continuously doing this. One day, as she sings, he hears her voice again and they are reunited. When they fall into each other's arm, her tears immediately restore his sight. He leads her and their twins to his kingdom where they live happily ever after. He still had a kingdom.
What probably happened is he put a black man in charge temporarily and said, watch this for me real quick. For years, and then came back to reclaim what he thinks is his. That's probably what happened.
Or maybe. So maybe he had so much money the kingdom could have took a hit for 15 years or something until he found her.
Oh, it was maybe.
We don't know.
I mean, didn't see COVID-19, so
it's just like this dude literally left.
Dang.
He left.
He left, yeah. Searching for Rapunzel while blind. Blind.
In a feisty, wild world.
Right.
This guy is able to wander in the wilderness without conflict.
In the medieval era.
In the medieval era. A blind man.
Right. Just wandering around looking for it. This woman has really long hair.
Can you imagine a stick up? You know?
Oh gosh.
Like he's like walking around with his stick, and the guy's like, freeze. You know, so we're gonna take all your money. He's like, I'm just looking for my one true love. Are you looking for your one true love, sir? You go ahead and look away, sir. You go ahead.
Or he was like Daredevil and just fought him off.
Maybe.
I mean, his senses were enhanced at that point.
No, there's no radiation at this time, but hey, you know what I'm saying?
But you know what? There's hair. There's hair that continues to grow. I mean, that grows very long. There are witches, so there's magic, obviously.
Maybe the thorns that he landed on actually gave him superpowers.
That's probably what happened.
That actually sounds like a fire story. I'm not.
Be a legit graphic novel.
Yeah. That sounds like a fire story right there. Like it starts out like homeboys like, I was looking for my love. You know? Looking for my love. And she took her from me. You know, like just have it set up. You know what I'm saying? I had to save my own life. I had to jump out of the window. And yet these thorns, they caught me. And the thorns left me with a gift. They took my eyes, but they enhanced my senses.
Right.
Look, that would be a fire story told by me. But
chronicle all his adventures as he's searching for Rapunzel, but in the meantime, fighting the forces of darkness and evil.
Oh, dude, that sounds like a lit story, and we probably gave somebody $1 million idea for free. So just, God dang it, but it's okay. Like, dang, I'm like, hold on, this. You know, there might actually be some business in this. You know, maybe taking these trash stories and actually rewriting them into superhero stories. This might actually let's keep that in the brain while we're reading the rest.
Have you ever read Fables, the Vertigo comic book series?
Yes.
They were kind of reminding me of that. The reimagined contemporary fairy tale characters.
It was still very European though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was still like that. They didn't really change a whole lot. They changed just enough, but I'm talking about like literally rewriting them in a better way. But yeah, I'm like, it might not be a bad venture to look into. But yeah, so another version of the stories ends with the revelation that her foster mother had untied Rapunzel's hair after the prince leapt from the tower, and it slipped from her hands and landed far below, leaving her trapped in the tower. So apparently,
her foster. You mean her hostage taker?
Yes. Yes.
Her kidnapper.
Her kidnapper.
That's a good, interesting way to spin that.
Foster.
Okay.
Foster.
Yeah.
Look at how they spin for Karen.
Excuse Karen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, good.
All responsibility.
All right, so let me see. We got Hansels and Gretel's next. Okay, so I'm reading I'm putting it up on the screen for Jonathan so it can be a refresher for him. But I'm actually reading the synopsis on it, like on the other screen that I got right now. So Hansel and Gretel, right? Also another weird and twisted story. That I loathe. I actually hate this story. This is one of the stories I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, why in the world are these kids wandering in the wilderness? You know what I'm saying? And literally walks into a house made out of like cookies. First off, there's so many things wrong with that. But we'll get to that in a moment. I was too logical as a kid, man. So people got mad at me. That's why I read comic books. I'm like, at least comic books give me some level of like structural understanding and logic.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So, but these fairy tales, man, I'm like, these things is trash. Trevor, you can't say that. They're trash. Where's Maximum? Where's Maximum Carnage? I'll show you a good story.
Shout out to 1993 Spider-Man.
Oh, fact. That's right, man. You know, I'm like, look, man, like that. That's when it was hot. And like, I could actually go in like, oh, you need a story? That's cute. Let's go and read about Thor real quick. Let's read about Thor and the Valkyries. Let's go and mess with that, huh? How about him and Beta Ray Bill? Let's deal with that. You know, I'm like better stories. You know, I was like, these are far better stories.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's the plot for Hansel and Gretel. Now, the story is set in a medieval Germany, which I think the Brothers Grimm were Germans. They're Germans. Most of these are actually German tales, which is very, very interesting.
We should tell them all you need to know.
So, Hansel and Gretel are children of a poor woodcutter. When a famine settles over the land, the woodcutter's wife, stepmother of Hansel and Gretel, decides to take the children into the woods and leave them there to fend for themselves. So she and her husband will not starve to death. Pause.
Oh, that's such a Karen move. Oh, my Lord.
My man and I need time. You kids are in the way. You gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Karen. All right. So the woodcutter opposes the plan, but finally, it's like Jonathan said this earlier, and this is a very good thing for guys to analyze. The psyche of the man in fairy tales. Every man in a fairy tale is weak-willed.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them have no backbone.
Not a single one.
None of them actually want to deal with the problem the way that it actually is at the moment. I think there's only one, and that was the hunter in Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh yeah, he killed the wolf.
He was a G. I think he's the only one. Only one.
The wolf. Sliced the wolf.
Oh, he was like, forget this doggone wolf. This wolf is dead. I'm like, my man.
He's a man of action for sure.
Man of action. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's the only one I like. I'm like, you know, the wolf is like, ha ha, yeah, like my teeth are big to eat you, and the homeboy's probably gonna bow. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. He's like, nah, you're a wolf, you're dead. I'm like, thank you. Don't talk to this wolf, kill it. You know,
he took care of the problem.
Yeah, you know. So, but Hansel and Gretel's papa, the woodcutter, was what we would consider in this era a beta male. Every single man in these stories are beta males, mind you. And if you want to dispute me, I dare you to look at every last one of these Brothers Grimm stories. Something was wrong with them, to where they wrote every single man as a beta male. They could not make decisions on their own. They actually like carried weight. None of them could. They all had to do something to please the woman only.
I wonder if that has something to do with their father's death, because I know their father died and it really affected their family apparently for years.
It did.
And I wonder if maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what their family dynamic was like, or the absence of their father, that maybe they tried to, I don't know, glorify their father in a way through their writings, kind of deify him in some way, or kind of write him the way they wanted him to be. I don't know. It was
because I think their pop was a lawyer or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So you know, I think it was a magistrate. So yeah, he hadn't been dealing with law. Mm-hmm. And he died of like pneumonia or something like that. It was something obscure. He died of pneumonia, and that actually ain't a bad thing. That's not a bad thing to consider. About that, like, why wouldn't they take the older man and kind of like put them in a situation where they had to die? They didn't let the men die. They made sure that they were docile enough to survive.
Right. For
very,
sure.
Very interesting. Unless you're a stalker, like most of the princes in the story, that's a completely but back to Hansel and Gretel. So, Lord have mercy. The woodcutter, you know, doesn't want them to go away. He opposed the plan. Finally, reluctantly, reluctantly, submits to his wife's scheme, unaware that Hansel and Gretel have overheard them. After the parents have gone to bed, Hansel sneaks out of the house and gathers as many white pebbles as he can, then returns to his room, reassuring Gretel that God will not forsake them. No.
Yes, God.
All right, so the next day, the family walks deep into the woods, and Hansel lays a trail of white pebbles. Now, pause. What was this in the stories that we grew up on? The white pebbles.
I only remembered breadcrumbs.
Breadcrumbs was what we remembered. Mm-hmm. Okay, just hold on to that for a moment. Their father lights a fire for them in the woods and goes to gather more wood. After a while, the kids realize their father is not coming back. Gretel cries, but Hansel tells her all will be well. After nightfall, they follow his shiny pebbles back to the house, arriving by morning. Their father is overjoyed, takes them back in, as he was very upset after leaving them in the first place. After a while, famine strikes again. See, this is the story. So like people didn't know that there was two parts to the story. Famine strikes again, and the stepmother again insists that they take the kids back into the forest and lead them again. This time, she locks the door to their room, so Hansel is unable to gather pebbles. Hansel crumbles up the small piece of bread. This is where we get ours from. He is given by his parents and sprinkles breadcrumbs along their path. Birds eat the crumbs. This is what we remember. And they cannot find their way home. After searching for a long, long time, they come back to a house in the woods made of breads, cakes, and sugar. They eat from the house as they are very hungry. While they are eating, a witch comes out and invites them inside, offering them a meal and pretending to be kind and friendly and a friendly old Karen.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you, buddy. After feeding them, she traps them in her house and makes them do chores each day, feeding them well in order to fatten them up for eating. One day, the witch decides it is time to eat and has Gretel light the oven and provide water for boiling her brother. After a while, the witch asks Gretel to hop in the oven to make sure it is hot enough to bake bread. Gretel, sensing the witch's intent, pretends she does not understand what the witch means. Infuriated.
She was a stupid Karen. She was a stupid Karen.
Yeah. Infuriated, the witch hops into the oven herself to demonstrate what she wants. And Gretel pushes the door closed behind her, leaving the witch to be burned to ashes. What type of stove is this?
It's a crematory. It was really a crematory. And see, I really don't want to sound bigoted when I say this. The fact that these were written by Germans and then years later we get, I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Baking, okay? With incinerating people.
Yeah. And this is their kid stories.
Exactly.
This is the kid stories. So,
but like you said, a lot of people didn't realize there were two parts of the story because in the version of the story we're taught, the parents are either absent or innocent.
Yep.
And you just see with Hansel and Gretel out in the woods laying down breadcrumbs. Yep. Nobody talks about the stepmama who wanted them dead. And the father who's like, I really don't want to, but okay.
I really don't want to, but yeah, we can kill our kids today.
Nobody talks about that part.
Yeah. So the old witch Karen dies in the oven and is turned to ash. So apparently Karen's like ash. I don't know. So Gretel frees Hansel from the cage, and the pair discover a vase full of treasure and precious stones, putting the jewels into their clothing. The children set off for home. They arrive home to hear that their stepmother has died. She gone. And their father has not had a happy day since they left their home.
Lies.
They live happily ever after with the witch's wealth.
I can't.
Right. So So apparently, the original tale, because for what we understand, like Brothers Grimm was like was Walt Disney before Walt Disney was cool. Walt Disney was a thief, a very, very good thief though, but a thief nonetheless, who encouraged thievery. Now that's not to take away his creativity. The man was doggone creative, but he was a thief. Let's not lose sight of that. The man was a doggone thief. He hijacked these stories. The Brothers Grimm, like this was not even 100 years. It was probably maybe a little bit over 100 years after the Brothers Grimm wrote these tales, maybe. But they got it from the Baltic, and there were ogres instead. So this story has been retold and told and retold and told so many times that people pretty much just changed the whole story altogether. Hansel and Gretel is a prototype for the fairy tales of what they call the Arne Thompson Uther. ATU 327. Right now, this is just bear with me for a moment. Gretel's pretense of not understanding how to test the oven is a characteristic of 327A, although it also appears traditionally in other subtypes of ATU stories. So there's a ATU, like the Arne Thomas Uther, is a catalog for folk tales and for folklore. And the definition pretty much is a type. The A type is a traditional tale that has an independent existence. It may be told as a complete narrative and does not depend for its meaning on any other tale. It may indeed happen to be told with other tales, but the fact is that that pretty much just stands alone. Like, so this particular motif, or at least the way that it was written, is actually repeated over and over again, where they swap out characters for other characters. Mm-hmm. So there's a one in the is it the Maldives? It's called The Lost Children. Same story, Hansel and Gretel. It's crazy. Like I was like, what? There's another one from way back in the day. I can't remember the name of it off the top of the dome. One of them is the Baba Yaga. That almost matches this exactly as Russian. That deals with the endangerment of children. Yeah. Same situation, right? So they actually have this motif is actually shared over multiple places in Europe. It doesn't have to be Hansel and Gretel. That's why it's a perfect fit for the Ode to Karen, right? Because it just fits the whole motif. Kill these kids so we can be happy. Kill these kids so we can be happy. That's pretty much what the motif is. And all of them deal with the fact that the children are unsafe and are made unsafe by the parents. So I just found that very interesting. I was like, still don't like the story. No, still don't like the story. No, like, nah, man. I mean, first off, the daddy is trash. Okay. Right. Daddy is pure trash. There's no way for anybody to change my mind. This dude is like the prototype beta male for storytelling. This cat had every right to be like, hell for now, I own this house.
These my kids.
These my kids, yo. What you talking about? I don't want these kids in this house because I don't think we're gonna have enough food. Well, Heifer, you need to get out there.
Right.
These my kids.
But no, he complies. He just goes along with it. Goes along, get along.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, you know what? My bad. I apologize for having kids before I ever met you. Where is your backbone? Goodness gracious. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that just bothers me. Hansel and Gretel get a pass in the story. I ain't got no beef with Hansel and Gretel.
They're victims.
Yeah. They're the doggone, they're literally pure victims. That's what I said, like the story motif. That's why I like the motif, why I brought that up. Like I said, for people that want to study, it's called ATU 327A. Like it is actually a repeated pattern across the world in most stories about child endangerment. It is very, very interesting to look up. But yeah, like you look at the situation around this story, and you're like, Papa was trash, stepmom was trash, the witch was trash. All the adults in the story was trash.
Every single one.
You had a hapless beta and a Karen, and then you had an old and decrepit Karen.
Yeah.
Both of the Karens wanted to do the kids bodily harm, but the man didn't. this is something that I always like thought about. In every one of these stories of Brothers Grimm wrote, there was a woman that was the problem.
Exactly. So that was one of the points I wanted to make. The idea of the wicked stepmother, especially.
We're getting there.
Not a wicked biological mother per se.
No.
Biological mother remains angelic, remains innocent, just out of the picture totally. Probably has died because, like in the Cinderella story, but then comes along a wicked stepmother who emasculates the man. As, okay, basically, I run this now, and these kids, we can't have them. We can't. No, this is not part of the program.
It makes me wonder too, like, did they have an experience like this where they had like a bad stepfather or something like that? But I don't think their mother remarried.
Not
you know what I'm saying? So that's saying I'm like trying to figure out where did that come from for them? You know, like where it's let's always write about a wicked step person. You know what I'm saying? Predominantly a wicked stepmother is a recurring theme in Brothers Grimm's tales. But yeah, I was like, that's pretty. It's always female. It's always a white female. It's always a white female. It's always Karen.
Always a sorceress.
Yeah, always a sorceress. Always an older middle-aged woman.
Always.
Go ahead. What is it? Always a what?
Always a Karen.
Always a Karen, man. So I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, I hope everybody's enjoying this. You know, like it's like this is like literally us like just taking this slowly, every bit of the time. Just want to make sure we get everything. Thank you guys for listening to Enigmas Unchained. If you like what you heard, please follow us on Apple and Google Podcasts by looking up Enigmas Unchained. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Enigmas Unchained, as well as on Facebook by searching our name. Thank you guys for having us, and we look forward to seeing you again. Solve those enigmas. Don't leave them unsolved.